This is Cherry Bomb RN, and you are listening to Starfield with Normal People.
Welcome to episode 37 of Starfield with Normal People. My name is Michael, and I'm here with Dwayne.
Hello, everyone. Greetings to you all.
And that was a really nice intro that we had from our friend Cherry Bomb RN from the Discord.
Absolutely. She is awesome.
Yeah, she's been taking over the Starfield Adventure Club recently, and that has been really nice, and I think she's doing a great job.
Gosh, thank goodness that she's helping us out. I mean, we were falling behind with the weekly Adventure Club. And by the way, if you haven't been a part of the Starfield Adventure Club, come into our Discord, check it out. If you're into like role play or you just want to share an experience that you saw somewhere in Starfield or something cool happen, come on in. Show us what you got.
What's nice is Starfield is a single-player game, but we choose a planet, or I should say now Cherry Bomb RN, each week chooses a planet, and everyone goes to the same planet and explores and takes screenshots and tells stories, and it's really a nice way to kind of make it a community adventure.
Right, you are.
Well, it has been kind of a big week.
Yes.
Right? Not only for Xbox, but for Starfield.
I'm not even into Xbox, and it was a massive week. I mean, between the June update as well as the Shattered Space DLC, I mean, there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we got a tiny little sort of a snippet, almost a single screenshot in a past update video of Shattered Space. So we knew there was going to be some weird rocks and some purple and that kind of thing. But this was the first trailer. I was disappointed that we didn't get a date, but that's okay.
Yeah, they just kind of gave us a generic, fall 2024 or something like that?
Yeah, they've been saying fall 2024, so at least it's this year.
Right. They did nail it down to this year.
Yeah, it does look really cool, and we are going to talk all about it on this episode, so stay tuned. We are going to do a full trailer breakdown.
Yes.
And come up with some theories on what we think is going on.
It's like a small town somewhere, and there's like always that corner store that has like the crystals and the weird
always
purple
the gems
rocks.
And the,
That's kind of like the trailer. There's a lot of glowing rocks and stuff like that in it.
Yeah, I hope we can collect like geodes or something.
Well, they need
They're minerals, Murray.
They need to expand that new rock busting gun. What's it called?
The rock busting gun.
Like mineral mining weapon.
Oh yeah, the mining tool.
Mining tool. Yeah. Oh goodness.
You would think that we would know the name of it.
I have not equipped it in probably 6 months. Honestly, like I don't do any of the mining.
Yeah.
I took it out of my inventory. Like I don't need it.
Me too. No, that's what's so funny is there was a time early on where I was mining all the time, so I definitely had one. And then, after a while, I was like, I don't really need this. Like, once you find out that before you pick up an artifact, you can actually just use bullets and shoot off all the mineral deposits. Are you able to? You're a punching guy. Are you able to punch the rocks off off of the artifact?
I think you actually have to equip a weapon because I ran into that issue. Yeah,
I would kind of doubt it.
I do carry one for turrets and stuff like that.
Right. You know, I need to experiment with melee weapons, which actually we should talk about this June update. So, yes, we're going to go over Shattered Space trailer in a little bit, but before that, they shadow dropped the June update.
Yes.
So this was a huge surprise.
Yeah, I think the biggest part of that was the Trackers Alliance edition, which was very cool. I went into the game. What's funny is I wanted to go through Unity by this podcast. Right. And the update came out and completely sidetracked me, of course. And for some reason, I was headed to Aquila City. I spent a few minutes there in the past at the most. And so this time I was like, I want to look around and kind of experience the city. So I actually ran into the Trackers Alliance just by accident. Like I didn't do the typical route of someone going to New Atlantis and that person approaches you and says, hey, meet me.
Yeah, because that's how I did it. Yeah.
I just randomly walk into a building and There's
You're like, what is this place?
there's number one, or no one, as he refers to himself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about the scanner, I mean, the whole addition of the bounty system with the red bounty system.
Yeah, now you can spot undesirables in a crowd. And for anyone that hasn't seen it, I actually, right after this update came out, I did the first Trackers Alliance mission, and I did a video where I talk about some of the new changes. So definitely go check that out. That's on our channel.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is that my persuasion is so high for the character that I'm playing that, yeah, I'll spot criminals and then I can just like tell them to turn themselves in.
Right.
So it's like you could role play as a cult leader, not a cult leader, but sort of like a guru that walks around and like tells people to turn away from their life of crime. So there is that if you don't want to be necessarily a bounty hunter.
Nobody can turn you down, Michael. You're so persuasive. What's weird is like, I don't know, something bugged out in my game because I could scan them, or I could see them, and then I could scan them, which would give me the little icon above their head.
Right.
And then I couldn't talk to them. No matter what I did, they would just walk around. So then I would just get frustrated and haul off and smack them and make them aggro.
I wonder if you need to leave and come back.
I mean, it's interesting because you can kill people in public and no one cares. It's kind of an interesting dynamic where the game before, if you're in a city, you do the smallest crime and everyone goes nuts and they're shooting at you. Whereas now, if you've identified somebody and you can kill them publicly and you get XP for it, it's kind of a weird thing that happens.
It's weird, but it does remind me of like shows like Mandalorian or whatever, or even, Django Unchained, where he blasts the
sheriff of the town
and then explains to the town. Yeah, he explains to the town this, Bill, he was actually Bill Williamson and he was wanted for crimes and stuff. I agree that it's weird to be able to just blast these people in the public and not get a bounty, but it's also kind of rad.
Especially if their crime is not necessarily, you're like Judge Dredd. It's like death is the sentence for shoplifting or whatever the crime is, and then you're totally fine.
Here's the thing is I would love an improvement here where depending on the crimes, they're wanted dead or alive. And if they're wanted alive, you've got to persuade them. And if they're wanted dead, then you can blast them.
Right. And listen, I'm being critical about this. I mean, I think this new system is amazing and I love it. As soon as I opened up the scanner in the city, I was like, ooh, like this was really cool. And
absolutely,
I'm really happy with the addition. I just think it adds additional layers to gameplay that we didn't have before.
I agree. We're being a little bit critical, but I think it's just exciting to see these new things and come up with ways that it could be improved. But I agree that overall, like this, it's just a nice extra thing. I think it would be cool if the bounty hunting, all that stuff was part of a new skill set. Like that'd be cool if you don't get that scanner unless you have a certain level of skill set. You know what I mean? But I'm fine. I'm fine with how it is. I think I just need to play around with it some more. I messed with it for the video. So everything, if you've watched my video, that's how much I've done of that, basically.
Everything is in the video. And I like how the guy just sits, or he kneels there waiting for the security guard to show up.
Yeah. Oh, can I talk about a weird bug that I got that was kind of interesting? I saw a security guard running, like booking it, right? And I was like, where's he going? And I followed him. And this security guard ran and stood in front of a person that was a wanted criminal that I had not caught yet, that I hadn't, talked to yet. So I thought it was funny that he like preemptively went there. But here's what's great is like that might have been a bug, but that could be, you could totally role play that as security. I would like you to be here for this.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm about to talk to this guy. He's a criminal. I have somebody here backing me up. It's very interesting.
It's like Minority Report. People are guilty of thought crime. Before they've even done anything, security is running over to them.
Let's talk about, so there's the the severity of crimes.
Oh my goodness. They really had fun with this, didn't they?
We've seen impersonating a robot.
That's a crime?
And yeah, that's a crime. I guess it's like sort of like fraud, maybe.
Depends on what that robot was doing, I suppose. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want you
Yeah.
impersonating, something that's pretty sensitive in nature. Robot doctor?
And were they impersonating a robot on the internet where they're just like typing? Or did they have like a full like cardboard, suit? Where
They were cosplaying?
like, what's the Cartman? Osimo?
I'm not familiar.
Cartman pretends to be a robot. It's so funny. He pretends to be a robot and fools Butters. But yeah, and then so there's that I feel like that's low end of the spectrum. And then my very first criminal that I arrested was one of their crimes was eating human flesh in public.
Oh, cannibalism.
This raises a few questions. One question I have is it legal in private?
Right.
Or is it just that the public makes it worse?
That's the next escalation of the crime, is the public portion of it.
Man, as we go through and find more criminals and see more different crimes that they've committed, it's going to be really interesting. I think it's going to help sort of shape what's going on in this time period in the future, like what things are legal, what things are illegal.
Yeah, no, it's a
fun.
really fun mechanic. I'm super happy that they added it. There's a little bit of pushback for how much some of these additional bounties are going to cost people, right? Like, 'cause the first one is basically free for people who bought the premium edition. They got an automatic $10 in credits. Is that how it worked?
Yes, but the first mission is actually free for everyone.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the second mission, which is the Vulture, which I
okay.
have not done yet.
I thought that was the first one because I went in and I just spent the credits right off the bat on that mission.
Right.
I didn't realize that was the second one. Okay.
Yep. The first mission that's free, I believe you're going after someone called the Starjacker, which I want to be very clear has to do with jacking ships.
Sure.
I thought that was a little bit of a weird name.
Starjacker.
Gave me a chuckle, but yes, it's like carjacking, but ships. So there has been a lot of pushback. There's been some review bombing. There's been a lot of complaints about the fact that the second mission is, I believe, $7.
Right.
If you didn't have the premium edition and you didn't get those free credits, it's $7. They did say in a video that they would like to introduce more bounty missions through the Creation Club in the future. Now, maybe, if I'm being really optimistic, maybe some of those will be free, some of them will be paid. Obviously, I would assume they're all paid missions.
I think for $7, is that worth less than a movie? I mean, you would pay $25 to go see a movie. I mean, I know you paid.
Yeah.
Some people paid for the original game. Some people played it on Game Pass, so they didn't necessarily shell out a large amount in the beginning.
Yeah.
So it's not going to feel as impactful to spend $7 on a additional mission or whatnot. But still, I mean, come on. I feel like it's a good value for your dollar.
To all the people that are saying it should be free or it's too much money, I understand. Like, I understand your point of view. I fall on the side of it's extra content. And this is how I feel about every time this discussion comes up about they should have given it to us for free. They should have given it to us for free. How much are we entitled to for free when I believe, and apparently this is up for debate because I've had people vehemently disagree with me, I believe that we got a full game at release. And I don't know how that can be a controversial position to have when I have bought games for $50, $60, $70 that had far less content than
Absolutely.
Starfield had
Yeah.
at launch.
I'm in the same boat as you in regard to the original release being worth what I paid for it. I don't have a problem with that. Now, what I see is if creators out there, individuals who are making content and can make a few bucks off of it to incentivize them to make more, absolutely. I think
Right.
if they can make a few dollars on it, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to pay for good content. Like if there's a really cool mod out there, there's a really cool mission or whatever, absolutely. I don't mind paying for that.
I see some people saying people have been able to do this mission in 20 minutes. I don't know if time is the only indicator of value, because apparently you also get a new weapon, you maybe get a new suit, I'm not sure. I see other games where, so you've got like Call of Duty where people will spend $10 on a skin.
Right.
And that's not even more content. That's just your look. That's just like, I will look like this to other people in the game. It's so difficult to have this conversation about value, because the reality of it is when you're talking to people online, you're not talking to one collective brain. You're talking to a ton of different people. So to some, $7 is way too much for this. And to others, it's fine. I love free content. Don't get me wrong. Like,
Of course.
Bethesda is giving us free content in addition to the paid content. That's why I kept it very simple in the video I made. I said, there's some discussion about this. You have to decide for yourself if this content is worth it.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they were not giving us all the other stuff that they're putting in on a monthly basis, both in terms of patching and fixing bugs, but also in new content like adding maps or potentially transportation soon. We're not going to pay for that. So
Yeah.
we're still getting content for free.
You can also wait, because these things will go on sale. There are so many games to play that when a new game comes out that I'm interested in, I wish list it, and often I wait for a sale. Certain games, Starfield, whatever, I pay full retail, I get the whole package, but
Yeah.
dude, I wait. Just be patient. Just like, these things will go on sale.
Oh, yeah. I bought Fallout 4 and all the DLCs, Steam Summer Sale. I think it was less than $30. Maybe it was like $15. I think it included Fallout 3, or I don't know. It included a bunch of stuff. Yeah, if you want to play a couple other games, wait a couple years, you can definitely get it for next to nothing at some point.
In regards to value, it's up to every individual person. You know, some people say vote with your wallet. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I might not agree with you on whether or not this is worth $7, but I agree in your power to vote with your wallet. If it's not worth it, then don't buy it.
Well said, sir.
I probably will. I probably will.
Yeah.
I already have. I just haven't played it yet.
You were saying some people noticed some improved facial animations, maybe, or shadows?
Yeah, so this is what I'm seeing, and I would not have mentioned it if I only saw one person say it, but I've seen it in a few different places. Some people think that the update that just came out actually improved facial animations. I wouldn't know, because I turned off the conversation camera. So I'm keeping my distance. I also play third person, so I'm not super close to people's faces.
Right.
But apparently there have been some improvements to some graphical stuff.
All I know is I've been playing a ton of Fallout 4, and then when the update came out for Starfield, I switched over, and it was like leapfrogging to, the next generation of amazing animations and graphics, and I forgot how fantastic Starfield looks, and especially that camera that you turned off. I actually really like that camera, and the facial animations are really, really good. I mean, I know there was a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning, but they're solid.
Now, I'm actually glad you said that, because I played so much Starfield, I turned that camera off so that I could have more of a Skyrim experience. But with the Trackers Alliance. And with these new characters, I actually was thinking, man, I got to turn that camera back on because number one, I do think the animations are great, the face animations, but also like, I don't know these characters yet. And as much as it's so weird, as much as I'm not a huge fan of that Oblivion style camera, like zooming in on their face, I will say that really helps you connect with those characters.
That made me think that the new scanner thing made the city feel so much more alive to me because it shows points of interest, first of all. So I'm like, oh, there is a place to eat, or there is a vendor that I haven't been to yet. So right away, I'm seeing things that I probably wouldn't have just gone around and aimlessly explored looking for something like that.
Yes.
Secondly, you see everyone that's moving, both people that are normal and people that are wanted.
Yes.
It just feels so much more alive because aren't the people that have a bounty are named NPCs now?
Yeah, bounty missions, they have names, and then also the people that you find in the city, I think they have names.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you, like having it feel so much more alive because of the fact that before crowd NPCs were they're just there to fill out the city. And now like you kind of get this feeling like, oh, whoa, what are you, oh, you're a good citizen. Oh, there's a criminal. Yeah, I love it. I need to spend more time with it.
It's added a whole different dimension to NPCs in cities, and it feels much more alive.
And honestly, I commend them because this is Bethesda's first game that they've developed where they have crowd NPCs. In the past, they had very few NPCs in their small towns and everyone had a name. And so this is their way of expanding and creating bigger cities. They started with the crowd NPCs, but they don't have names. They're just there. And now like this is filling it out. They're gonna find new ways to make it feel more alive. This is great. We are only in year one of the game's release, and they continue to improve on it. And they said that they're dedicated for 5 years at least. So exciting to see what they continue to do.
Any thoughts on the creators that they featured in the June update video? In terms of like, are you excited about new creator content coming, or what'd you think of that?
Yes, I am very excited. I love that we've got access to the whole, all these different mods from even non-verified creators, but then the verified creators are doing some very exciting things. I mean, there's one that just casually mentioned the Dyson Sphere, which you brought up in a past episode. You talked about a Dyson Sphere.
When he said that, I was like, dude.
I thought of you immediately.
Yes. This guy's on my wavelength.
Yeah, I thought of you immediately when he mentioned the Dyson Sphere, and I was like, wow. I was like, well, good luck, but if they can do it, that will be very impressive. Yeah, and we had talked about in the past, like it's like everything we've talked about is coming true. We talked about like mining operations. There's already a very ambitious verified creator content in the Creation Club, which has mining operations, and I have seen this. This is a creator that has a roadmap, and his roadmap is so impressive of what he's planning to do.
First of all, step one, make caves cool.
Yes.
Make caves interesting.
I can't wait for the cool caves.
We've talked about caves, but there's so much potential with caves.
There is.
Just take a page out of the Earth. Like, the Earth has amazing caverns and caves in real life. Like, just copy some of those and put them on planets.
Well, what's crazy is I've seen some really cool caves in Starfield, but it just feels like...
You have?
I have, yeah. They've got like the crystal caves and stuff like that. I just don't usually see a reason to go in. Maybe if there's like a rare... I don't know. It's weird because there are rare like ores in the game, but I just don't need them. Unless you're crafting something very specific.
Right. If everything we've said in the past is now coming to fruition, then I'm going to put it out there that I want beautiful, lush underground caves with waterfalls and
Oh, yeah.
glowing crystals and lava and procedurally generated biomes underground. Like, give me a reason to go into the mountain. Give me
See,
like
that would be cool.
smog in there.
Yeah.
Thorn, oak, and shield under the mountain. Cool structures and stuff. Why not? There was the one that's worth mentioning, which is Quiet Down Korra or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you using the ship's intercom to tell your dad a haiku? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that made me laugh.
you can download that
made me
right
laugh.
away for you Xbox. That's been long available for us PC players, but for you Xbox people.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of high hopes, like already what we've seen from Creation Club and mods being available on Xbox, like it's just started and it already looks good. So I'm excited. I honestly, I feel like I'm going to be checking Creation Club at least once a week to see what's new, what's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is Cherry Bomb RN, and I am interrupting the podcast for a few moments to talk about our Starfield Adventure Club, which is in our Discord. But I am so grateful for this group of amazing individuals that come from all different backgrounds and locations. Our Starfield Adventure Club is a way to expand your gaming horizons in a way that I had never experienced before. I used to just be a strict single player, first person shooter gamer. I never really got creative with my gaming. I just played the campaign, maybe did a few side missions or quests, and the Starfield Adventure Club was created to bring a whole new light to Starfield. I did not realize that I really enjoy role-playing until the Starfield Adventure Club. I started posting just pictures, and then it was a short story, and now my narratives are so long that I actually have to skip weeks of submitting because I'm not done yet. I have created a character from just this random build that I made when I first started playing the game, and she has a whole life and all of these dimensional aspects to her. Her personality is her own. She has her own background, and none of that existed before the Starfield Adventure Club. So every week I will pick a random planet from the list of planets that have been offered and suggested by our Discord users, and we will go there. We will adventure separately, but together. I hope to see you guys out there among the stars.
Well, should we watch the Shattered Space trailer and break it down?
Yes, I think we should.
Okay.
The Shattered Space trailer has so much weirdness going on in it, in a good way. They established a very grounded reality, and I feel like that was on purpose. Everything that, with what they were talking about with NASA Punk and everything was very grounded, so that once you got powers from the artifact, that would be very alien and weird, right? I feel like they're taking it a step further. Well, anyone who's seen the trailer would feel that way because things are so different in this trailer.
Without a doubt. And I'm glad that they went this direction. And I think you and I, when we were speculating what we thought the DLC would be, what Shattered Space meant, I think we were both kind of leaning more toward Varun, something in that. Like, it seemed like,
yes,
obviously it was important to the original game, but it never was explored in any way. So it just felt like there was so much room to really dive into what the Great Serpent was. And
they kept it very mysterious.
Andreja, now's your time to shine. This is your DLC, Andreja.
You've started Far Harbor and Fallout 4. And I wanted to ask you, who did you take with you, for example? Which companion did you take with you?
Hancock, for some reason. Like, I ended up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I hadn't done any traveling with Hancock, and then I just happened to be in, is it Good Neighbor? Is that where he's the mayor?
Yeah, Good Neighbor, yeah.
Yeah, so, and he was chatting me up, and I was like, dude, you want to hang out? Because you sound pretty cool. So, and I had not hung out with a ghoul prior to that, so.
Right. All right, Dwayne and I have the trailer up. We're going to go shot by shot and figure out what's happening. Probably not figure it out, but we're going to try.
Speculate.
Now, it starts with this phrase that says, we chase dreams and embrace shadows. Yeah, it gets all distorted.
Oh, but did you see that? That was real subtle. It actually flashed up embrace shadows.
Ah.
Like, of that quote, yeah.
Good catch, good catch. Embrace shadows. So it starts with the voice of Andreja saying that they've received a distress call of unknown origin. So that's interesting. You know, her people are the Varoons. So does she know more than she's letting on?
Right.
Only time will tell.
Nice composition, by the way, with the whole framing of the planets and the space station and the ship coming in.
So we open on a space station. It looks like we're going to be going to this distress call, and this space station is not looking good. It's got floating bodies. So hey, more zero G.
Let the bodies float in space.
I don't see anything here but a bunch of floating junk and boxes, and some carrots. See, we're trying to find secrets. Now, we got to talk about, so early on, about 40 seconds in, we've got something very different, right, Dwayne? What are you seeing?
Yeah, it kind of looks like T2, you know, like the Terminator 2 molten metal form, but that also has like tentacles coming out of one side of it. So it's interesting. I'm not sure what it is, but it's perhaps alien or organic or high tech.
This is definitely the first image in the trailer that to me is just nearly unexplainable. Yeah, it's like crumpled up tinfoil, but definitely feels very somewhat alive. I'm getting some vibes of, there's a movie called Annihilation, which also deals with a very alien presence. Yeah, it feels like a growth, right? Like something is growing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's chained, so you'll notice that it's being suspended by chains within the spaceship where everyone is dead.
Yeah.
Something's gone wrong. They tried to capture whatever this is, and it didn't bode well for them.
So that's a great catch, that they've chained it up. Another thing that I'm finding is that along all the walls there is a reflective pattern, the way that water reflects light onto, you know, if you're like in a cave and like, or sunlight comes in, hits the water. Yeah, it's got that kind of like water pattern all over the inside of this space station.
They're now kind of in a separate chamber, and we see more of the crinkly tinfoil, as you call it, but kind of stuck to the walls.
Yeah. So now I'm wondering, because we see sort of a light blast come out of this thing, and we see a body. Now, is this a previously dead body that is now coming alive? It looks ghostly, it's all white.
You're right.
Yeah.
It could be like it's harvesting these bodies and reforming them into something new, into this ghostly form.
Yeah, and we're gonna see, when I watched the trailer very quickly before, there's definitely like these living beings. They look like people or astronauts or whatever, but they're glowing white. They look very ghostly. But this is the first time, as we're breaking it down, that it seems like the light blast coming out of it is sort of activating one of these bodies. Or it could be affecting the player. We're not sure. Now, then it jumps, about 49 seconds, it jumps to this character holding, looks like a part of an animal skull. The sort of chromatic aberration around this image says to me that we're getting a vision. Would you agree?
I'd agree. Or it's a kind of an insight into another distant place. So almost
Right.
like a window into another time or space somewhere.
Yeah.
I like her haircut, by the way. That is a pretty sweet haircut.
That's a sweet haircut. And
It's like shaved on the sides and got all kinds of bangs.
she's got bangs, which is like the most hair that she has is her bangs, which is interesting. Or maybe that she's got like a bun in the back. I would venture to say this is an important character, possibly a villain of some kind, or maybe a misunderstood villain.
I think this might be another companion that you can choose. She looks too good. She doesn't look evil to be a true villain.
Okay.
She looks like a Vulcan.
I'm ready for more companions.
She looks very logical, very stately, and no nonsense.
She's holding this thing that if you were to see it quickly, it almost looks like it could have been an artifact. But no, this is an animal skull of some kind. What is she doing with this animal skull?
Is it a snake fang? It's a large fang, kind of, coming out of one side.
It looks like there's a jaw, like a top jaw.
Oh, yeah, like
Yeah,
teeth.
who knows? Yeah. The next shot shows someone carrying a pain blade, a Varun pain blade, walking up to an animal. But doesn't this look like this beast is sort of frozen in ash?
It's very washed out, but then you also have the chromatic kind of trail behind it.
Yeah. So it's like, why would you be approaching with a weapon to an animal that is basically frozen in rock? So are you going to, maybe you'll free the animals, like how Sonic frees the animals from Dr. Robotnik's robots.
There you go. I don't think it's like that. I think the animal's alive. I think it's just desaturated, and I think it's either a sacrifice. I mean, the previous image was a skull, and now we're seeing like blade taken to animal.
Oh, you're right. Maybe I think as I move, that maybe the leg is moving a little bit. So yeah, just an ugly looking creature. In the next shot, we've got a statue. Probably an old revered character.
Yeah, we see this kind of exaltation, raising your hands to the sky, like praise.
Yeah, an adoration, a pose of praise. Yeah.
An adoration, yeah. We see this throughout the trailer a couple of times. I think this is the first time we see it, and it is like you said, a statue.
Ooh, they put a lot of chromatic aberration. They really sort of mess this footage up so you can't tell. I think this is our first look at the major city that we're going to visit on the Varun homeworld. And the reason I say that is when you go frame by frame, in the very background, I see a shadow figure way in the back behind the statue. I think that's just a guard. When I go frame by frame, look on the left. It says goods exchange.
I see it. Yep, you're right.
So I think we have spotted a shop.
And it almost looks like a spaceport too, like up on the upper left.
Yep.
Like that looks like the sky of the city.
Yep. You can definitely see basically a radio tower. Very clearly in the back says goods in exchange. Yes, this has got to be our first look at the Varun major city. Moving forward, we just see a switch getting pulled and gravity is re-enabled on this starship. Now, I'm seeing a little package of grapes. Okay. That's all that is. I have nothing to say about it, but I just, I'm scouring this video. All right, gravity coming on, body dropping. We see more of this foil growth, but it is glowing even more. Okay, at about 55 seconds, we get a look at this really gnarly looking creature.
It almost looks like a spider made of ice or translucent material of some kind. Do you remember Poltergeist? The classic 80s movie?
Yeah.
There was kind of this poltergeist that was in a closet that was kind of translucent with like these long spindly arms.
Right.
Kind of looks like that.
Yeah.
But definitely is freaky, and I would be blasting my way out of that situation. I can tell you that much.
Well, you say you would be blasting. The very next shot is a character firing upon this thing. So yeah, they close that out with some chaos. We see the Bethesda logo.
Mm-hmm. I think the person that was shooting at that creature was actually killed.
Mm.
And then someone says run, right?
Which sounds like Barrett.
Mm-hmm. Does sound like Barrett.
It sounds like Barrett. And then we actually see somebody shooting, and they are encased in the all-white ghostly look. Mm-hmm. The weapon, what it fires, it feels like a new type of ammo. It feels very almost liquidy, like liquid plasma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or like an energy beam that's kind of more of a wave.
It kind of reminds me of Ghostbusters with the proton pack.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first look that we got a while back in the last update video, where we see basically what we all believe to be the home world for the Va'ruun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very sharp, crag-like rocks. And as we're looking at this frame, you can see probably our player character standing up on the top right.
Yeah, I actually didn't notice that until just now.
Mm-hmm.
I see the little guy standing up there, and it almost looks like a globe or like an orb of some kind was shattered open, and then inside is an obelisk.
That is the shattered space.
Right. That's the shattered space.
We did it, guys.
We solved it.
So, like you said, there's this orb around what very possibly could be the city. I'm trying to see if I spot that statue we saw earlier, but I think we're too far away.
Mm-hmm.
Is this homeworld not safe to be on? Is it not a safe environment? Do they need that orb to protect the citizens?
And then over on the right, we see another shattered orb. So the planet has many of these kind of glowing shattered orbs.
Sort of like the planetary anomalies, wherever you would find temples in the base game. Mm-hmm. There's definitely some sort of gravitational anomaly happening here as well, as we see like some broken rocks floating on the right side.
A lot of reds and blues.
This is that same statue we saw earlier. And now I'm seeing, so we're actually seeing a little bit more of the city. So this is a very good look at it. We see some Va'ruun guard over there.
Mm-hmm. We see a lot of candles around the base of the statue too.
Yeah.
In honor of their god.
Yeah, or is that that's sort of their leader, the original leader of the Va'ruun.
Prophet, if you will.
The prophet. I'm noticing there's someone knelt down at the base of the statue on the bottom left.
Oh, yeah. Is that what that is? I didn't make that out at first.
We see some more text. So like earlier, I noticed the goods and exchange. We see in the top left, we've got security center. So this is definitely the town, and we're getting a feel for like the layout.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the next shot, we've got very ghostly looking individual.
Mm-hmm.
So what we still don't know, they're not visions because we saw them fighting against a ghost spider. So they are physically here.
Right.
Well, what is going on? Is this a blessing of a Va'ruun blessing? Is this a new power that you get?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, this individual has glowing eyes. They've obviously kind of entered the next stage of whatever life is. You know, we've seen different stages in the game going through Unity, for example, but like could the player also enter this stage if they become a true zealot of Va'ruun?
I think possibly we might. We'll get to it, but I thought I saw some comments from people saying that it looked like the player also would glow at some points, if it is indeed the player that we're seeing. That's what's tricky about these trailers is your player character can look like whatever you want. So it's tough to know, are we seeing a new character or are we seeing our own character? I do want to point out that this ghostly figure, right before this shot ends, I am noticing some of the rainbow, like sort of the prism coloring on him. So I do believe that where the source of this power is going to be similar to the artifact powers.
Sure. You know, I mentioned red and blue, but it's the summer, what we call the summer blockbuster color palette, which is
right.
orange and blues. right?
Orange and blue.
They're like kind of opposite of
Which
each
sort of-
other on the color wheel, and they're very well paired.
We do get this stormy shot of the Varun homeworld, and there is a glowing, it looks sort of like a plant, but the bottom of it is glowing orange and way in the background.
Almost looks like a nuclear explosion frozen in time.
I'm noticing way in the background, I'm trying to see what this says. It's a plaza of some kind.
Well, it's huge. There's some kind of
Yeah.
like center section, maybe like center of the volcano, and then all around it is the city. We actually see the statue on the right hand side, and if you look at the base of the statue, are those candles? And then I think there's a few figures also in the lower right.
Yeah, some people standing around, I think.
It looks expansive. I mean, it looks like you could walk all the way around.
It does. So I got a clip and I zoomed in on that plaza in the background. It looks like it says 2 Jarek Plaza. So this will likely be another section of the city. So this is our first clue. You heard it here first. Who is Jarek? Possibly an important figure from their history.
Did you say to Jarek? Oh, like
It looks
here
like it's-
is the way to Jarek Plaza.
I feel like it's the way to Jarek Plaza. Possibly it could be To Jarek. Then maybe that's their name, To Jarek. It's Tojarek. Nice, but yeah, in the middle of this area where there's sort of like a crater, which actually I want to point out. You see at the bottom, there's sort of this crater in the middle of the city, and there's tons of candles lined around this crater. Dwayne, did something bad happen here?
Something either came out of this mountain or was destroyed here.
So now I'm starting to theorize that possibly something we did, artifact collecting, maybe related to the Unity, was there something that they had here? Did they have their own Unity? Did they have their own artifacts? You know, we've already seen, like with missions like Entangled, which I won't spoil, but some bad things have happened surrounding the use of these artifacts.
Yeah.
And now that I see these candles around this crater, I'm thinking something bad happened.
All the candles around the edge of the crater. And where do we see candles? At a funeral, usually.
Yeah, memorials.
Memorials, vigils, right?
Vigils, yep. So I think we're sort of making some big discoveries here, taking a look at this. You know, we've got this perspective of what we thought is the city, but this is from the view of a different building. So this sort of goes into what I was seeing earlier, that there are these little buildings around the city that are not enclosed in the bubble. And we see some people praying here, and they don't have masks on. So there you go. Even outside of the bubble, it is a breathable atmosphere. Now we're in the public plaza again. We see that shot of that character with the bangs and the shaved sides of her head. Earlier, she's got the skull, which I did think was another artifact earlier on, but now I believe it to be an animal skull. In the top right, we've got another location called Harold's Rest. And directly under Harold's Rest, which might be like a restaurant or bar, we see emergency supplies. So the other side of town. I almost feel like we could map this whole town out with some of these shots. Now they moved through this shot very quickly. So at 1:30, we get this sort of interesting looking statue.
Yeah, it looks like sails. Looks like
sails, right?
Giant wind sails with some kind of object in the middle of them, or maybe a grand entrance to somewhere, as we see a character walking toward the entrance, I guess.
Yeah, and they're wearing the Constellation astronaut suit, which we typically see to depict the player character. I'm noticing way in the background as you go up those steps, I think I see a statue that is many, many snakes.
I see it, almost Medusa-like statue, right?
Yeah.
Except the snakes appear to be coming out of the arms. Does it look like outstretched arms and then the snakes on the arms?
It could be that, or it's just at the top of the stairs, maybe there will be sort of like a platform with multiple snake statues. We know about the Great Serpent.
Right. And if you look at this structure itself, it resembles a cobra. When a cobra like rises up and you see like that fanned out, the hood of the cobra.
That's true, and that's a good point because I believe in the Varun Embassy in New Atlantis, I believe they do have a cobra-like statue. So that's a good observation there. We hear a character talking about feeling the embrace. So of course we know about the serpent's embrace. You can even get that as a character trait. This location in the next shot, we see more statue, more candles. We are very close to this statue, and on the right side it's almost like out of focus, but the texture of it does appear to be sort of like scales. We've got the player character at the top of some steps. This is the location we saw in the vision earlier. This looks like an altar of some kind. Is this where we're going to gain a new power?
Right. There's also like an actual digital display or a keypad at the base of the smaller altar that's directly in front of the player character.
Yeah.
Maybe a placard or something there.
The statue itself definitely has a very like ancient alien look to it, so could very possibly be related to the temples.
Except for the fact that it has this like bowling ball thing hanging from a chain at the top.
Right.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Looks like a pepper shaker or something upside down.
Looking at the statue, we've thought of the Great Serpent as being one big snake, but is it possible that the Great Serpent has many heads?
Yeah.
Now this is very interesting. We've got this shot of something unfolding, this giant mechanism. This to me looks like a weapon.
It does.
A huge laser weapon.
That was my first inclination. It's sort of Death Star-esque in terms of like it has to ramp up, it has to open up these panels and get ready because whatever's going to come out of the end of it is going to be extremely powerful.
Yeah, we get another shot of it here. I will say that I've seen some mechanisms in like random POIs that sort of look like this. This thing looks very dangerous because we hear a character talking over this shot. He's talking about the serpent embrace, feeling the serpent's embrace constricting around you until there is no more you.
But then he says, only us.
And it said on a shot, which I now believe is the player character glowing white in that same effect that we saw earlier. We see all these different orbs, right? We see some like protective orbs around these, I feel like around these buildings and homes. So this could be what I saw earlier. I said that it was a breathable atmosphere, but maybe it's not. Maybe they're all inside of these orbs.
Right.
But definitely we've got the player character, as a recap, walking up to this altar, you hear a voice talking about the serpent's embrace, and then the next thing we see is the player character glowing. What is this power? I can't wait to know more about this.
Saying that it's us is Varun, once you've transcended, is it a collective, almost like Ender's Game, where it's ant-like, you have the queen, and then all the individual soldiers are... it's a hive mind, in other words.
Right. So this power could be related to somehow connecting you to other Varun operatives or civilians. We see some black robots that look like Vasco. The Varun are kind of like the Batman. The Batman Begins, right? Is they see... robots that look like Vasco, and they say, does it come in black?
Everything's just cooler looking when it's, dark grays and dark greens and blacks. And
so we see that city from far away in the orb, and then we've got these other buildings. So definitely whatever's in the orb is surrounded by other buildings. So maybe the city is even bigger than I thought.
Yeah, and I think the cadence of this trailer is paying homage to the original Alien trailer with that kind of siren effect.
Right.
That's like timed with the shots, and it's similar to Alien and Aliens in terms of the trailer.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. I noticed right before it switched to the next shot that I saw down in the bottom left, very small, a little creature walking under the rock arch. But then it switches to another shot of a creature up close. So I'm wondering if it is, in fact, the same creature.
Good catch. Didn't see that.
Yeah, the creature down on the bottom left there sort of looks like it has wings, and then the next creature does not.
I wonder if this whole world is like in this chromatic effect, because when we were standing on the ledge just now, the edges had that tricolor chromatic red, green,
Right.
blue effect. And now we're seeing
Yeah.
a creature up close. The creature itself is kind of blackish or dark, but then it has that trailing tricolor effect.
I personally am hoping it's just an effect for the trailer, or if it is a temporary effect from something happening in the game. I'm not a huge fan of chromatic aberration when it's on all the time.
Yeah, certainly that could be annoying to look at for long periods of time.
But this little creature actually reminds me of the statue dogs in Ghostbusters. Talking about Ghostbusters a lot today. Except it has horns like a ram.
Right.
I wanted to point out that in this shot where we have sort of like a religious spot where someone in Varun, they seem to be wearing Varun armor, and they're praying. They're knelt down and they have their arms raised. I'm gonna tell you, I feel like this is a red herring in that I believe that this could be a player character.
Where are their hands?
Yeah, it looks a little weird in this shot. I feel like it's just really thick sleeves and gloves. I actually think that this could be a player character that you'll be able to fully embrace the serpent, and that you'll be able to pray. Could this be a function? Like maybe you can pray and recharge that power. This is just me throwing out wild speculation. Now, the trailer does throw in some very quick shots, things happening. We've got this laser thing type sort of charging up, but then we've got, in the next shot, definitely these are scientists. They're wearing scientist clothing. I don't know if they're Varun scientists, though. So is this a different faction trying to build their own weapon? Are they trying to replicate what Varun are doing? This seems like a very different experiment. We've got like a yellow beam of light and some spinning mechanisms.
Yeah, they're both very intent in looking at it, whatever it is.
We also get a shot of one of the flying creatures on the Varun homeworld, and in the background you see quite a few structures. I love that these structures have a very different architecture from what we've seen so far.
A little bit of a Bespin vibe going on here.
Yeah, so we see like some broken ships. This is what we saw charging up before, but now it's like full of light and stars. It almost looks like player characters standing right in front of it. So what is this? Are we going to, is it a portal? Is it charging you up? Do you have to go back to get charged up for this like new power that you have? That'll be interesting if you get a new power, but you're required to go back to Varun homeworld to recharge it.
Or just this must be the way to travel back and forth from our known universe to where the Varun homeworld is.
That's a good point. See, I saw this theory floated that the Varun have been able to hide so well because they hide outside of our reality. It's possible, like, have they built their own version of Unity, but one that they have more control over and that they can go, back and forth?
Another dimension, another dimension.
This wrecked spaceship, somebody wrote "keep out" on the outside. So either someone's using it as a base, or I would say even more, because with how bad it looks, I would say maybe there's something very dangerous inside. If these shots are to be believed, we then see some dead scientists inside.
Yep.
And you're going to be fighting against some enemies that are have that same glowing power. Definitely some interesting creatures here too.
Yeah, we saw a large kind of queen alien looking thing with glowing highlights. So that's cool.
For anyone that has found that POI with all the like the oil rig style POI
With the little hatchlings and
yeah, yep, the hatchlings, the webbed hatchlings. The queen that's on that POI, this looks like one of those, except yes, like you said, it's glow. It has these like blue glowing highlights around it.
And are we in a cave?
It's a cave area. There's a gun battle happening. There are columns in this cave and lights set up. So like these columns almost look Greek.
Yeah, fluted columns.
Those are the columns, and the spiral is looking down from above. There's another one of those computer consoles that you were talking about earlier.
We see a shadow of a player down at the bottom, though.
Yep. A very fast shot of a player running, or not running because they're in the middle of nothing, but there's sort of like they're up in space. There's no gravity. There's just a ton of rocks everywhere. Yeah, they're sort of spacewalking through this blue energy.
A literal vision of shattered space is what we're seeing. Like rocks shattered into a million pieces.
Yeah, they are walking. They're spacewalking. Now we see right at the end they're in one of those energy bubbles that we talked about earlier on. So are these going to be pockets? See, now I'm starting to think that those energy bubbles are not protecting anything or like giving anyone air, but it seems like these are spots, like anomalies that have exploded. Maybe these are going to be very dangerous areas that you have to traverse. But I'm thinking, now that we've seen these shots, I'm thinking outside of the bubble, you stand, there's gravity. And as soon as you go into the bubble, it's similar to going into one of the temples. Like it's these sort of anomalous areas with no gravity.
I hope that's the case because we wanted to see more anti-gravity in the game.
Yeah, and then inside of this, there's an enemy. Now they are glowing white, but you can tell that they're holding a Varun sort of machine pistol and aiming at the player character. Player character is shooting what looks like sort of like a minigun, except I believe it's that same plasma energy that we saw earlier. And then we get one of our last shots of the trailer, which probably has raised a ton of questions. We've got a shot of, well, you describe, what are you seeing here, Dwayne?
It's an entire room. It's a massive room full of pods with cryogenically frozen or bodies in stasis in some manner, right?
Yeah.
So it's either they're being beings that were kind of held in stasis for travel distances, for long distances over the universe, or maybe for a nefarious experiment of some kind. We don't know.
Yeah, there's so much that this could be. Like you said, that it could be an experiment. They could be making clones. We know that cloning is a part of this universe.
Well, actually, if we look closer, we can see these are the ghostly creatures, it looks like. Maybe this is how they're spawned or like built.
It does look like they have that same glow about them. They have been transformed. So yeah, are they being, is this an army being, bred for a war? I saw an alternate theory that these could be Varun people that know that there is a bad thing coming. There is a threat. And these are possibly that they have frozen themselves, and that there are a select few Varun that are staying vigilant, that are unfrozen in hopes that the threat will be taken care of by maybe Freestar or UC. And then once it's safe, are they then going to unfreeze the rest of their civilians? That is one theory that I've seen floated about this shot. But very interesting shot because it could mean so many different things.
Right.
And that is our final shot of the trailer. Then it just pans out to the title, Shattered Space.
And it's in the papyrus font, interestingly enough.
Papyrus.
No, not really. It's actually a really cool font. I like the kind of bold block font that they chose for the
It's
Shattered
sort of
Space.
like blocky. It's blocky, but with some angles to it. I love this trailer. And during this breakdown, I feel like we've sort of seen and learned a lot for what's going on. I think we've got something with these sort of pockets of energy. And like I said, take a look at the trailer, because you're going to get a good look at that city, that new city that we're going to be exploring and being a part of in the DLC.
Do yourself a favor. Turn out the lights. Turn up the volume and watch it without pausing, because it's a completely different experience than what we just did. I've watched it now both ways, but it's definitely far more impactful as a complete piece of uninterrupted art. So while it does pain me a little bit to dissect it like this, it's also fascinating to see some of the things that you miss when it flies by so quickly.
I like hearing that perspective, because I sort of had the opposite effect, where I watched it uninterrupted and was like, it got me really hyped, but then I just feel like we've learned so much, like going frame by frame. But I agree. You gotta do it. You gotta go both ways.
My big takeaway is the new city looks amazing. I'm really excited to go explore that. And the lore around the Va'ruun is looking very, very cool and fascinating. And that home planet is of course looking beautiful, and I'm gonna enjoy exploring that. So I think there's a lot to look forward to in Shattered Space.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited. And you know what's weirdly also very exciting to me is that this is what everyone wanted. Ever since the game came out and they just barely gave us anything on Va'ruun, everyone was hoping that the DLC would be all about Va'ruun. Well, clearly it is. And so what I'm excited about is that now we know that Bethesda always does multiple DLCs. There's always like a big DLC, a couple small ones, and then one final big one. The fact that this is the first major DLC means I have no idea what they're planning next.
Right.
Like, that's very exciting to me.
We've said it before. I mean, this game feels like such a solid foundation to build really neat and unique things on top of. The sky's the limit, really. And it sounds like with the creation kit out now, what we're going to see in the next 1 year, 2 or 3 years even, is going to be amazing, I think. So a lot of good things to come.
Well, that's it for our trailer breakdown. Let us know in the comments or pop into our Discord what you have noticed. Is there anything that we missed? We tried to look at everything, but if we missed something, please let us know. What are your theories? What are you excited about? New weapons, new suits?
I was just going to say new weapons. Like before we were talking about, we wanted to see more fanciful weapons. It looks like Shattered Space is going to bring that to the table. So I'm excited about the weapons as well.
Absolutely.
And chunks. I mean, there's got to be some new chunks in this DLC.
Oh, yeah. That's the big question that we did not get from the trailer. Is there a Chunks restaurant? Do the Va'ruun eat chunks?
They have to. They got to eat something.
They've got to have.
Maybe it's like a cool ice cubey,
like
translucent. Glow chunks.
We're definitely. Oh, you know that Chunks is gonna want to move in, and they're gonna have like the glowing white crystal.
The
chunks.
Orange and blue.
Maybe some purple. Yeah, the orange and blue, purplish chunks.
Summer movie blockbuster chunks.
Yep, very exciting.
You know, like how it's all the rage for like movie theaters to do specialty popcorn containers.
Right.
Chunks will have like a snake head where, you know, you reach into the snake head and get your chunks out of it.
Yeah. I would love, you know, we talked about a special, that McDonald's that has like the green arches. It's like the only McDonald's that has the green arches. Are we gonna get a Chunks that's all like black and purple? Really hope so.
Shattered chunks. It's just like little slices floating around.
Oh man. Well, thanks for listening, and I want to do a big thanks to our new Patreon members. We've got Afrobird and Dingo Dan. I don't want to say too much because this was a private message, but Afrobird, I'll just say this: they've been a big part of the industry. So let me just say, without doxing you, it is an honor to have you amongst our ranks. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you Afrobird for joining, and thank you Dingo Dan. Dingo Dan has popped into our Patreon and has just been so active talking in the Discord, and thank you for being here. And of course, we want to shout out our top supporters. Every episode we've got Brian, Space Cadet, Rampage American X, Cherry Bomb RN, Griffin, Ben Price, and Ziegler Rocks. And if if you're curious, check out our Patreon, because we're doing every episode, every video that we do, we put it there also. You get it ad-free and you get it early. And then we've got some extras as well.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. And also thank you to everyone that listens on Spotify, Apple, and thank you to those watching on YouTube. All links are provided in the show notes below.
An extra special thanks for comments and feedback. If you have a comment, suggestion, or an in-game story to share, drop it on our YouTube page or come talk to us in our Discord.
And if you like the show, consider dropping a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. That would really help us out.
Thank you for traveling the Starfield with us, and make sure you subscribe, because we will be back for more.